Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Dave, welcome back to Wilde Reads and welcome back to another book haul. This is the August book haul and I think this is going to be, usually over the last couple of months or few months or even probably this year, I've done two-part book hauls because I've been buying a lot of books. I think however that this month this is going to be the only book haul because I'm just not buying as many, well I'm trying to show a little bit of restraint. I know you may laugh at this because I'm not known for my book buying restraint, but I am really trying to because I am quickly running out of space, and I know I keep mentioning this, and I know I keep mentioning that I've got to have an unhaul or a book cull at some point, but I really have. I am seriously running out of space. So, but I have bought a few more books, and they are here, so I will go through them with you. It's a bit of a mixed bag, this lot. And these were mostly from, I had a rather good session at the Oxfam secondhand bookshop in Sevenoaks recently. And I have bought some really good books. The first one is Folks on Fiction by Sebastian Folks. This is the book that accompanied the TV series that was on a few years ago now. I think it was on about 2014. Great British characters and the secret life of the novel. And this is really about our favourite novelists make something thrilling out of the recognisable. They make real a story, however unlike our own life it might seem, can reach the humanity common to us all. That is the magic of the novel. Folks on Fiction takes a look at the British novel through its human characters, the heroes, lovers, snobs and villains. And it especially takes a look at the following characters. So Robinson Crusoe, Sherlock Holmes, Winston Smith, Mr. Darcy, Tess of the D'Urbervilles, Lady Chatterley, Fagin, Jeeves and James Bond. So I really enjoyed the TV series when it was on, and I've been wanting this for a little while, so I was really pleased that I found a lovely hardback edition of it. The second book I've got is also a hardback, and this is a biography by Margaret Forster. This is Daphne du Maurier's biography, which was published many years ago. Well, I say many years ago, 1993, so quite a few years ago now. And this is, I've been wanting to find out a little bit more about Daphne du Maurier for a while, or probably since I read Rebecca last year. And this will come highly recommended. When I think I asked people a little while ago, can you recommend a Daphne du Maurier biography? And a lot of people said, look out for the Margaret Forster biography. So I have it now. So I will be sinking my literary teeth into that one pretty soon. The next book is A Reader's Guide to Writers Britain, an enchanting tour of literary landscapes and shrines by Sally Varlow. This is a really, this was £1.50. It looks absolutely fascinating. This is a book, well, it's a Reader's Guide to Writers Britain. This was published by the English Tourist Board and published by Prion Books back in 1996. And it's just about, so it's got sections of the UK, like the West Country, and then it details books that have been set in the West Country. Then there's Southern England, South East England, London. London's quite a big section, as you would imagine. Eastern England, the Midlands and the Cotswolds, and so on and so on. The next book I have, now you may remember from one of my recent book hauls, I think it was last month's book haul or the month before, book wrap-up, sorry. I read The 39 Steps by John Buchan. So imagine my delight when I walk into the Oxfam bookshop in Sevenoaks and I see this wonderful illustrated edition of The 39 Steps. This came out in 1985. This is the cover. It's got this wonderful cover and it is an absolute delight. The illustrations in this book are superb. Look at this. There's a rather grisly scene there. Those that have read The 39 Steps will know this particular scene when Richard Hannay walks back into his flat and finds the guy that he's given refuge to stabbed with a knife. And they're just brilliant illustrations all the way through this book. I really enjoyed the 39 Steps. I was delighted to find this illustrated edition of it. I shall treasure that, and I will come back to the writing of John Buchan time and time again, because I found out that he wrote 100 novels, 100+ novels. The next book I've got is another in the series of the British Library crime classics. This is The Cornish Coast Murder by John Bude. The Reverend Dodd, vicar of the quiet Cornish village of Boscawen, spends his evenings reading detective stories by the fireside, but heaven forbid that the shadow of any real crime should ever fall across his seaside parish. But the vicar's peace is shattered one stormy night when Julius Tregarthen, a secretive and ill-tempered magistrate, is found at his house in Boscawen with a bullet through his head. The local police inspector is baffled by the complete absence of clues. Luckily for Inspector Biscoe, Reverend Dodd is on hand and ready to put his keen understanding of the criminal mind to the test. Now this is a series of probably what you would describe as cosy crime, and I've got quite a few of these now and I haven't read any of them, so I will have to start getting to them soon, because I'm building up quite a collection of British Library crime classics. The second book I've got is a little novel by Christopher Nicholson. This is called Winter. This was published by Fourth Estate back in 2014. And this is in a pale November dawn. The elderly Thomas Hardy walks in his garden, his beloved terrier at his heels. Within the shadows of the house sits his lonely middle-aged wife Florence. Both await the visit of Gertie, the leading actress in an amateur production of Tess of the D'Urbervilles. But the arrival of this beautiful and ambitious young woman threatens the equilibrium of their reclusive life in the countryside. In this delicately wrought novel, set in the 1920s, inspired by the first English production of Tess, Christopher Nicholson presents three impassioned characters at a critical moment in their lives. That looks really good. I'm fascinated about that. Another one I've got, this is another little novel. This is a Faber novel by Beth Goody called The Lottery. And the blurb says, so from the inside flap, this says, congratulations, you are this year's lottery winner. Report high noon, you know where, so tardiness will not be tolerated. Sally Hanson's school is being secretly ruled by Shadow Council, a powerful and brutal group of students. Every autumn, Shadow Council holds the lottery, a dreaded ritual which picks a pupil to be the victim. A person who is ignored by the entire school and forced to become Shadow Council's slave. Sally is this year's victim, and she faces the worst year of her life. Humiliated and isolated, her friends desert her and teachers turn a blind eye. But when Shadow Council's demands become increasingly sinister, Sally begins to suspect that maybe more than bad luck is against her. A dark and powerful psychological thriller from an extraordinary writer. That seems a bit odd and a bit fascinating at the same time. So it's got this really good cover there. So that's The Lottery from Beth Goody, published by Faber. This is a brand new book that I bought in Waterstones, and this is Last Stories by William Trevor, by the late great William Trevor. William Trevor is probably one of Ireland's greatest ever writers, and he's very sadly missed, and these were the last stories that he ever wrote, so I'm really looking forward to this. I think I'm gonna TBR this one for next month. What have I got here? I found a little Persephone, this is Persephone number 33. This is The Far Cry by Emma Smith, and this, in common with the Persephone books, is brilliantly presented with, you know, some lovely end papers as well. Haven't read a Persephone yet. I've got a couple of them from a visit that I took to the Persephone bookstore in London, but I haven't actually read a Persephone book yet, so I plan to do something about that quite soon. Another one that I got, talking about John Buchan earlier, was this one. This is Green Mantle by John Buchan. And this features Richard Hannay, who appeared in the 39 Steps. As the First World War begins, one man may hold the key to victory. When Major Richard Hannay has his recuperation interrupted by a telegram from British intelligence, his hopes are high for a promotion. However, his orders are not for Europe's battlefields, but for another deadly mission into the core of the enemy's secret plans. Teaming up with his good friends Sandy Arbuthnot and the American agent Bleekeron, Hannay is nervous about his assignment, not least because no one can tell him exactly what it is. So really looking forward to getting into another John Buchan book. It won't be very long before I do that. Another one I've got here, this I found the other day. This is from my favourite contemporary writer, Ian McEwan, and it's a lovely hardback edition of Amsterdam, which amazingly I've read. Can you believe it? I've read nearly all of Ian McEwan's work, apart from Nutshell, which was his last novel he published, because the premise doesn't really appeal to me, but I have got it and I might get round to it one day. But I haven't read Amsterdam, one of his most famous books. I was going to do them all in order years ago, so I started with the two volumes of short stories which he first published in the late 70s. I think First Love, Last Rites and In Between the Sheets. And then I started with his novels in order of which he published them. So I started with The Cement Garden, but then I stopped and jumped a few when I got to Amsterdam and Atonement, so I never got round to reading Amsterdam. But I have it now. I think I've got it in paperback somewhere as well, on the paperback section. But I have Amsterdam now, so okay. And that is it. That is this month's book haul. Not as big, certainly not as big as previous month's book hauls, but at least I've saved some space. So I will be back on Sunday with another video. Whatever you are doing this week, enjoy your books, and I'll see you back here on Sunday for another BookTube video. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.